Now let me read to you from the Message from Philippians 4. Celebrate God all day, every day. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worry, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. And before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. That is one of the best paraphrases of Philippians 4, rejoice in the Lord always, etc., that I have ever read. Let me read it to you again. Celebrate God all day, every day. I mean, revel in him. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worry, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. And before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center, the core of your life. Christ displaces worry at the core of your life. Doesn't mean Jericho's not there. It just means you look at Jericho in a whole other way. So shape your worries into prayers. Make a worry list if it helps you, and then worry your way through it. You're allowed to do it. You know, it's amazing to me, as I took my ark around a particular Jericho I have in my life at the moment, one more time, about a year ago, going round and round and round this problem. I was preparing this message, or this series, and I asked God about it. And he said, well, don't be terrified. Don't worry. That's a command. Don't sin by worrying. Trust me. And I read the story of them going around once a day. And the Lord said to me, that's what you're allowed to do, only once a day. Go around once. And then you go back to camp and you get on with your life. Because what happens if you go round and round and round and round and round, you never get back to camp and attend to what you need to be doing. All those other children that are doing all right. Once a day. It's a command. It's a bit like when you're struggling with infertility and you're in this Resolve group, which is a very good group if that's a problem. Those of you that have been through that know about this support group. It's not a Christian group, but it's a very good support group. And they have a 20-minute rule. They say, worry about it and think about it for 20 minutes every day. And then discipline your mind. Same thing, one round Jericho. And I started to put that principle into action a year ago. And I haven't always managed to do it. I mean, there have been some days when, at the end of the day, I'm still tramping around the place. And I'm exhausted. Of course you will be exhausted. You only have enough strength to go around it once. And there are other people in my life. You have to get on with living. You have to attend to the ministry that God has given you. And you have to function. And so once a day. Make your worry list. Go around it once. And then tear it up and put it in the waste paper basket. So what do? We need a supply of courage. Now, at the beginning of the chapter in Joshua, after God has told him, don't worry, don't be terrified, don't be frightened. We come down and Joshua, after talking to God about all this, orders the officers of the people in verse 10, go through the camp and tell the people, get your supplies ready. Now, I just saw that 2 days ago. Get your supplies ready. And I thought, that's what we need. Joshua needed supplies. I mean, he needed swords and he needed uniforms. I don't know what he needed, but if you're going to fight a battle like they did, you need supplies. But what he needed more than any of the other physical supplies that he needed was a supply of courage. Where do you get this supply of courage? Well, first of all, we have to ask, what is courage? What is courage? And the only way I can answer that for you is to talk about what it isn't first. Courage isn't a feeling. Courage isn't a feeling. Courage is resolve. First and foremost, courage is resolve, determination, will. That's what courage is. And all of us, therefore, have a supply of it. Everybody has a will. You say, no, my kids have a won't. Everybody has a will. You don't need to go looking for it. You don't need to say, well, I don't have any courage. Courage is will. The will to do what is right. The determination, the resolve, whatever you feel like. For courage is not a feeling. And if we wait for a feeling of courage to do what is right, to say what is right, to address a problem, to go up against our Jericho. We can wait until you're dead, because the feeling will probably never come. I'm not saying that courage isn't always devoid of feeling. Sometimes courage is a feeling, courage is there. But the courage needs to be a resolve, first and foremost, and don't wait for the feeling. I've often told the story in our youth ministry how I'm a very fearful person, as well as being a worrier. I'm wrecked with fears of everything. And I was very frightened of the young people that we were working among. I loved them, but I was frightened of them because I was due to be frightened. I mean, I was right to be frightened of them. They were tough kids. And there was a particularly very incredible place called the Floral Hall in a seaside place called Morecambe, and we were trying to do some what we call raw evangelism. Just go out, meet kids, try and get to know them, try and talk to them on the streets in these places. And what we did is we put a great big map up of our environment and the youth group, and we started to pray over this map. And then we sent them out for 3 months, these kids, just to go out when they were free at night. And they're not really free at night in England because they do homework. They do 3 hours homework every night, Monday to Friday. But when they could do it, they were to go out on the weekends or whenever and find where the kids were and what they were doing in that part of the map. So we divided the kids up into teams. We divided the map up into teams. And then after 3 months, we came back and we kept putting little things on the map. Well, there's a place here. It's a house. Some parents are always away. And every Saturday night, there is a sex party here. And there's probably about 20 or 30 kids go here, and that's in my section. And there's also a coffee bar, and of course I'm also on the beach here. So this is my territory, and then everybody else was doing the same. And then we had a strategy meeting. How then can we forcefully go out to where these kids are, into these places, maybe to the house, to the party, or wherever it is, if that's your territory, and what do we do when we get there? Can we use music? Can we just turn up? Can we just use preaching, teaching, drama, mime, juggling, magic? There's a wonderful in Europe.